you. Well, once there was a little girl, and she liked Christmas so much that she wanted it to be Christmas every day of the year. Now, right after Thanksgiving was over, she began writing letters to the Christmas fairy, asking if she mightn't have Christmas every day for the year, all years, ever and ever, since she liked it so very much. And she wrote letter after letter after letter. And finally, the day before Christmas, she got a letter back saying she might have Christmas every day for a year, and then they would see about it. The little girl frowned. And why wouldn't I want it to be Christmas every day forever and ever? Well, the next day was going to be that old-fashioned once-a-year Christmas, and everybody was quite busy getting ready. The little girl forgot to tell her family that soon it was going to be Christmas all year long. The next day, it was a wonderful Christmas day. The little girl ate so much Christmas candy that she didn't want breakfast. Presents were opened and carols were sung, and there was a wonderful turkey Christmas dinner, and that little girl went to bed quite worn out and happy. Now the next morning, she was wakened by her brothers and sisters dancing around her bed, holding up stockings full of presents, shouting, "It's Christmas! It's Christmas!" And she just said, "Oh, nonsense. It was Christmas yesterday." They laughed at her. "You better come downstairs and see, because it's Christmas today anyway." And suddenly, she remembered. This was the beginning of Christmas all year long. She raced downstairs, and there was Christmas blazing away. Her family was opening up presents, looking rather puzzled, and her mother was scratching her head and muttering about preparing another Christmas dinner. The little girl went to bed that night with a stomach ache from too much turkey dinner and candy. Now the next day, it was the same thing all over again, and the family was already starting to get tired of Christmas. By the end of the week, the family was starting to lose their tempers. You could find lost tempers dropped all over that house. And still, Christmas kept coming. Why, turkeys were beginning to get scarce, and grocers were starting to pass off almost anything as a turkey, even half-grown hummingbirds. Oh. After 3 or 4 months of this, it got to where the little girl would come downstairs and see those great, ugly, lumpy stockings hanging on the fireplace mantel, presents scattered about, and she'd just sit down and start crying. And after 6 months, she was too worn out to even cry. No. 4th of July. 4th of July, there were candy canes and carols. No sparklers, no fireworks, no hot dogs or macaroni salad. And Christmas just kept coming. There was Christmas on Valentine's Day and President's Day and Father's Day and Mother's Day. And Christmas kept coming. Now, the little girl was beginning to get frightened, and she didn't dare tell her mother the secret. And she couldn't ask the fairy to take back her gift, because that would just be so ungrateful. By the time October came around, it was terrible, absolutely terrible. People were so tired of Christmas, but it just kept coming. Now, right before Thanksgiving, the secret had come out. You see, the little girl had been having nightmares and talking in her sleep, and now nobody would talk to her. They would just glare at her and grumble. If it wasn't for her greediness, we'd all be having turkeys for Thanksgiving instead of cheese sandwiches and peanut butter and jelly. Right after Thanksgiving, That little girl began furiously writing letters to the Christmas fairy, asking if she could please, please, please stop Christmas. She wrote letter after letter, and then she started sending telegrams, but Christmas kept coming. Until finally, it was that old-fashioned, once-a-year Christmas Eve, and the little girl went to bed and cried herself to sleep. The next morning when she woke up, it wasn't Christmas, and it was never, ever going to be Christmas again. Oh. Well, with no Christmas ever again, there was great rejoicing all across the country. People cried tears of joy. And the little girl went to go find the Christmas fairy and thank her and make sure that she kept her promise that there would be no more Christmases. The fairy frowned. You had best be very sure of your choice this time. And the little girl thought and thought. I suppose I could maybe have Christmas once every 1,000 years? Or maybe every 100 years? Once every 10 years? Or maybe could we just have Christmas once a year? And the fairy smiled. That is what people have liked best ever since Christmas began. And so it has been ever since. And that's the story of Christmas Every Day by William Dean Howells, who was known for his tenure as editor of Atlantic Monthly, and also for his great friendship with Mark Twain. Yeah.